Again, we're dealing with a different class of knowledge. We're dealing with historical knowledge. My reports, which again, I tell people, you don't have to believe me. I mean, I wrote the book because I have more experience with this stuff than probably any physician in history. But there are plenty of exorcists around the world who publish their own works. And they have stories extremely similar to my own. Now you can believe it or you can't. But if you're naive enough to expect that somehow you're going to get videotapes of these things, or somehow you're going to be able to subject these people to experiments, it's like the people who claim, well, let's do experiments and pray for people's healing, and we'll see if praying for people's healing statistically improves the odds. I mean, this is a very naive understanding of spiritual phenomena. God, I mean, Dr. Gallagher, Professor Dutton, nobody individually, decides how much evidence they have. It's ultimately how much evidence, as Pascal said, by the way, a brilliant mathematician. Pascal said there's enough evidence to convince of religious phenomena. There's enough evidence to convince the reasonable, good-hearted person. But there's not going to be the type of evidence that is subject to scientific experiments. And you just decide, you have to decide, does this evidence believe me? Now, do I believe this level of evidence? If you don't. But again, you haven't been exposed to 1/100th of the evidence that I've been exposed to.
But in science, that would be appeal to anecdote. That's the point. It's not.
Was Tony Blair? Was he prime minister of your country? Why do you believe that? It's because it's historical knowledge. You take historical knowledge the same as you do any other type of knowledge. You evaluate. Does this make sense? Are there a lot of witnesses? I'm telling you, the things I am talking about, there are myriad witnesses. There was a guy about 150 years ago. His name was Professor Osterreich. He was agnostic, so he was not a believer. And he wrote a book, and he gave thousands of references throughout history. He wrote a magnum opus called Demonic Possession Throughout World History. Now, he reported a lot of these phenomena in all cultures. There have been anthropologists who report these states in all cultures. Have there been people who imagine they were possessed? Have there been cultural beliefs that ascribe things like multiple personality to possession? Absolutely. But the evidence, nevertheless, is so powerful. Maybe it doesn't convince you either because...
Oh, no, I can see that. I can completely. If someone were to say to me that Tony Blair was possessed by the devil, I would be open to that being true. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the most evil men that's ever lived, and the wreckage, the terror that he did to our country.
Here you're getting facetiously into politics. I didn't mean to make a political point.
No, he is wicked. I mean, evil man.
The point. The point I'm making is that there is certain type of knowledge, like. You believe things about your friends or somebody close to you. That's a type of knowledge too. The reason I again wrote the book is because I have so much direct knowledge of this type of experiences. Of course, some people are going to believe it and some people aren't. I come back to what this brilliant mathematician, who was a great student of religious history, said. There is evidence for a reasonable person, and certainly the evidence is only so much. It's ultimately God who decides how much evidence we have. It's not.
Why would God taught you?
Or Dr. Gallagher.
I told you earlier that I did a theology degree. It does rather beg the question, doesn't it? Why would God, who is all powerful and all knowing and all loving, why would God allow these demons to exist?
Why did he allow Hitler? It's because people have a certain amount of freedom. Without freedom, human beings would be children or robots. So he allows evil human beings, and you know darn well the traditional Christian interpretation is that there were angels who turned to God, and there were others who rebelled against him, and that's the tradition of not only Christianity but many other major world religions as well. Muslims as well believe that these demons misused their freedom, rebelled against God, and still have some room to maneuver because they're still free.
Okay, well, it's actually Hitler's 134th birthday today, coincidentally to your example.